Alright everyone, we're going to be doing another camera comparison between the iPhone 11 and the Samsung Galaxy S20. Now, I promised you guys I would do this and I eventually did it, so don't get mad at me now. This one might be a little bit different because I already had a pre-existing connotation that the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus or Samsung Galaxy S20 was going to be better, and in some cases it was, in some cases it wasn't, to be honest. Now, in terms of the hardware, the iPhone 11 has two 12 megapixel sensors, a 12 megapixel wide-angle lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor, with the Samsung Galaxy S20 has a single 12 megapixel wide-angle lens, a 64 megapixel telephoto lens, and then an additional 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. So in terms of that, the Samsung Galaxy S20 already kind of wins in terms of the hardware, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to the actual software or the pictures that you're going to see at the end of it. And like I've said before, I think Apple does a really good job in terms of the actual photos and everything that it takes in terms of the back end, which is a really good thing that Apple has going for them. So in terms of that, I mean, Samsung definitely has the better hardware, but the Samsung Galaxy S20 also has the ability to shoot 8K videos, which is super impressive. The iPhone 11 does not support that, and in this video I did not shoot 8K videos because all these videos are in 1080p, and that's not really fair for the iPhone 11 because it doesn't have that capability. So I can't really do that in this case, and I felt like it was kind of unfair, but it's totally okay. The S20 already kind of has not only the higher camera resolutions, but also the better camera hardware, I feel like, with the additional telephoto lens. Now that we have that preliminary stuff out of the way, let's go and look at the photos. So now I have them both pulled up, and as you can see, the iPhone 11 photo will always be on the left and the Samsung Galaxy S20 photos will be on the right. So keep that in mind while I'm going through this whole entire comparison. And this whole entire start off is actually of just some grass. I usually take these photos at the front of it, and both photos look pretty good at the end of it. I mean, they both look almost exactly the same. If I zoom into some of the grass, you can see that it kind of looks like the iPhone 11 had a little bit of blurriness and sharpness going up here. If we can kind of zoom into this grass right here, you can see that the iPhone 11 looks a little bit more grainy, it looks a bit more blurrier, and not in a good way, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 was able to kind of more keep it refined a little bit. So you can see there's less grain going on it overall, and these are the exact same photos taken at the exact same time, so it's not like separate times. These are taken at the exact same time, and you can see that I feel like the S20 photo looks much more clear. There's a lot of graininess going on with the iPhone 11, and I'll be doing the same camera test against the 11 Pro as well, but it should be about the same. If I look in the back, you can see, if I zoom into this little part right here, it seems to be a little bit less noisier and a little bit less grainy on the Samsung Galaxy S20 over the iPhone 11, so that is a very important thing to note. When you're having a phone and you're taking photos and everything, you don't necessarily want it to be always, super crazy like that. So in terms of this photo, the Samsung Galaxy S20 definitely wins here, and I'm already noticing some pretty crazy differences, to be honest. Now, this is a pretty basic photo of some curtains, and you can see that, from the first glance, they look almost exactly the same. But one thing I noticed right out the gate was that if you look at the Samsung Galaxy S20 photo, you can see that on this side, it looks much more darker, even though these were taken at the exact same location, exact same time. Whereas if you look at the iPhone 11, you can see that it definitely looks a little bit more lighter. However, if I go ahead and let's say we zoom into this back part right here, and this is where a lot of things I'm starting to see a big differences. You can see that on this side, look how much more grainy that looks right here, and look how much, out of focus this section is. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S20, it actually kept that in the back end, and it actually kept that, so you can see it a lot more, up in focus. So it didn't necessarily blur this part out, and it didn't even blur this part out. You can see this part all in a section, whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S20, whereas on the iPhone 11, you can see it definitely noticeable. I mean, they definitely made it a little bit more grainy. It's not even not grainy up until that part, and you can see how much more detail we're getting. So they're both pretty grainy here, but on this side, look at this side. Look how much more grainier it is on here over the Samsung Galaxy S20. And looking at the very top section, to blur that part out. And honestly, like I said, I mean, at first I thought that I didn't know which photos were going to be honest, and it sounds like I'm giving a lot of, like hype to the Samsung Galaxy S20. And that definitely does seem to be the case. I think Apple did a really good job. The iPhone 11 did a really good job with this part. But the overall photo, I think it does look noticeably better on the Samsung Galaxy S20, in my opinion, over the iPhone 11, which is, I was honestly surprised about that, to be honest. Now, this next photo is a pretty basic photo. I don't think we're going to be able to notice too many crazy things, but you can see there's a little eyelash or something right here. And that's a pretty long eyelash, if I'm being honest. The both photos seem pretty good. There seems to be cooler colors on the Samsung Galaxy S20, whereas on the iPhone 11 it seems to be much darker and warmer. And I actually do kind of prefer this type of coloring. If we kind of zoom into this part, and I just love zooming in, it kind of does seem like we're getting more detail on the Samsung Galaxy S20 a little bit. I'm not really too sure. And again, not many people are going to zoom in this far into these photos, but both photos from like the far end, they look pretty good. Like if you're just kind of looking at them from this, they look pretty fine for the most part. I do feel like in this case the iPhone 11 has a better photo. I like this little like warmness that's going on with the desk. I feel like the desk kind of looks like this in more real life than this one, but this one actually looks more real. I don't know why that trash can. So they're both kind of good at their own parts, but I do feel like the iPhone 11 did a better job here. Now this next photo is actually a really good photo. I'm surprised I took it. I should have put this on Instagram or something, but as you can see I stepped in a little bit too far into the iPhone 11 photo, but they're both almost exactly the same thing. And this one is just of the typical camera lens that I had on my desk, and you can actually see the dust that's within the lens, which is really, really nice. I love seeing that. It adds a little bit more flair to the photo. And if you can see, you can pretty much see every single little speck of dust in it, and even between the specks of dust, it seems like it's a little bit more in focus on the Samsung Galaxy S20 and a lot less grainy on the S20 over the iPhone 11. And that's a very minor one. I don't think most people are going to be looking at it like that. The blackness of the camera lens as well, if you can look at that, look how much more yellow and kind of nasty it looks. Not nasty, but a little bit more warm on the iPhone 11 than on the S20. The S20 did a really, really good job at that. I think they did a really tremendous job at that. It just looks overall less grainy on the Samsung Galaxy S20 than on the iPhone 11. Even if we look at the sides, you can see a lot of blurriness going on right here, whereas on the S20 did a really good job at not blurring over blurring the sides of the camera lens, which is really, really nice. So in terms of both this photo, the S20 I think wins by a little bit, but it's not like a crazy difference here. Even if we look at the background, let's see, the S20 does a really good job at removing the noise in these photos. The S20, you can see, even if we look along the lines of this orange thing right here, whatever this is, I think it's my light strip, you can see on how much blurry and noisier it looks on the iPhone 11 than on the S20. So the S20 did a really good job at smoothing out the photos in my opinion. So now this is just of my LED light strip remote, and it just kind of showed me like the colors and kind of interprets each color, and they look almost exactly the same. The yellow seems to be popping out a little bit more on the Samsung Galaxy S20, and they're about the same, but both colors look almost identical to me. So that's one really good thing. I was expecting there to be a little bit more of a difference, but there isn't. I wonder if I can match up the photos. Not really. In terms of this photo, they're almost exactly the same. Not a big difference in my opinion. Now this photo is one of just taking of simply of just the Xbox lineup thing, and you can see my arms and everything, and I just wanted to see what the main differences would be. And as you can see, there's from the first glance I can already notice a little bit of difference. The Samsung Galaxy S20 photo kind of took a lighter photo and much more brighter and more exposure. Samsung Galaxy S20, I don't know, maybe like over filtering, or the iPhone 11 here, maybe like over filtering. I'm not really too sure. It just seems to be a little bit off for me, like a little bit more yellow. If I zoom in, like let's say like the edge of this part, and this is where I noticed the bigger differences is the smoothing of the Samsung Galaxy S20. Not a crazy difference in my opinion, but you can definitely see that I think the iPhone 11 did a better job. The iPhone 11 did a sharper job at keeping this kind of more sharp, but as you can see, once you kind of bring it up here, there's a little bit more smoothing going on with the Samsung Galaxy S20 over the iPhone 11. If we go up to this part as well, you can actually kind of see that I think the iPhone 11 did a better job at sharpening this all out and keeping this you can see kind of a little bit more detail, whereas on that Galaxy S20, it kind of did a little bit of a worse job in my opinion. But again, these are my eyes, I could be totally wrong. But between this photo, I think the iPhone 11 actually might have won from first glance from the outside. Looking in, this one looks a little bit better in my opinion, but after that, I think the iPhone 11 did a better job. Now this is just a quick example of portrait mode. So I had live focus mode on the Samsung Galaxy S20, which I think is the portrait mode on that phone, versus the actual portrait mode on the iPhone 11. And something that I noticed right out the gate is the iPhone 11 photo definitely looked much brighter and in your face, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 photo kind of looked a little bit more, mundane, a little bit more boring. So and if you look at the blue in the background, if you look at that, you can definitely see that I think it looks a little bit better on the iPhone 11, and the purple and all that stuff looks just more sharper. You can see a little bit of edge, kind of like chopping going on over here, where the iPhone 11 looks much more smoother. And if we kind of zoom into the actual fuzz of the bear, you can see that the iPhone 11 I think does a better job. You can see a lot more of the single hairs versus the Samsung Galaxy S20. So That's a pretty big difference right there. I think the iPhone 11 definitely won this one. Now this is a photo taken outside, and as you can see, I mean, the colors look really, really nice. If I zoom into this kind of bar of wood, I feel like maybe we're getting more detail on the Samsung Galaxy S20. The iPhone 11 did a really good job at this photo as well. If I kind of zoom into this specific part, you can see that the iPhone 11 did a much better job at keeping those things in focus, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 kind of chopped it up a little bit. Not really too sure where the focus point of the S20 was, but you can definitely see the iPhone 11 had the better photo here. Now this is a photo of a leaf, and I try my best to match up the photos as good as possible, and it seems to be, and again, of the way I take these photos, I let the focus, focus on itself. I let the viewfinder focus. I don't tap anything to focus or anything like that. And as you can see, I think the Samsung Galaxy S20 had the better photo here by a little bit. It seems to be that the iPhone 11's photo focused on this part of the leaf, maybe, I'm not really too sure. I was trying to focus in on this part, so the viewfinder or the automatic focus I think was a little bit better on the S20 at this point. But you can see, I mean, in terms of both, the Samsung Galaxy S20 did a really good job. If you look at the edge of this leaf, which isn't really a fair comparison, but this is where I was trying to focus, you can see that the S20, I believe, did a better job at focusing than the iPhone 11. And both phones, I mean, if you looked at both photos from like a distance like this, you'd probably think they're about the same. But I think the Galaxy S20 definitely won here in this photo. Now this photo, I'll have to turn this around. You can see that there's a little bit of filtering going on with the S20, and if you kind of look at the edge right here and you kind of see a little bit more detail here, the Samsung Galaxy S20 I think offered more detail in this crevice than the iPhone 11. But the iPhone 11's photo had less filtering, and some people might like this a little bit more. There seems to be a lot of over processing on the Galaxy S20 in this specific photo, which isn't a big deal. Some people might like it, but that is something to consider when you're getting a phone like this. Okay, I had to take an intermission. I was missing these two photos, but then I eventually found them, and the iPhone 11 I think did a really good job here. The Samsung Galaxy S20 also did a really good job, and from first glance, I don't think there's a clear winner, but when I kind of zoom in, I kind of started to notice that the Samsung Galaxy S20 photo seemed to be a little bit less in detail than the iPhone 11. There seems to be a lot more sharpening going on with the iPhone 11. Like if you zoom into this part of the leaf, which actually kind of looks like a man, if I'm being honest, it looks like Groot or whatever his name is from that Guardians of the Galaxy. You can see the two eyes and everything, but I think there's a lot more sharpening going on for the Samsung Galaxy, for the iPhone 11 over the Samsung Galaxy S20. And again, I took the photo, I just quickly took them, I let them both find focus on whatever, but I think there's a lot more detail on the iPhone 11 photo than on the Samsung Galaxy S20 photo. Now this last photo I took in ultra wide mode, and I just tried it, I didn't even care about it too much to be honest, I just kind of want to quickly take it. Both from about the same distance. I think the ultra wide sensor on the Samsung Galaxy S20 can do a little bit more, I guess, ultra wideness than the iPhone 11. Not a big deal, but that is something to consider. On the Samsung Galaxy S20 and on the iPhone 11, they did a really good job, and I think the iPhone 11 did an overall better job. There's a lot more sharpening going on, not even sharpening, but just looks better in my opinion, the filtering that the iPhone 11 brought versus the S20. This photo kind of looks bland and looks too, I don't know, like cool in my opinion. This one looks much warmer, and I definitely do like this photo at the end of the day. So both are very nice, but this is just an example of the ultra-wide sensor. I didn't test the telephoto lens because the iPhone 11 doesn't have it. Now I did do a video test, and you can kind of watch it while I'm doing this, but the one thing that I saw in this video between both of them was that I actually found that I think the iPhone 11 did a better job at the video than the Samsung Galaxy S20, which I was not expecting. And at first I was expecting the Samsung Galaxy S20 to be better because honestly it's the better phone, it's more expensive, it has the more camera sensors and all that. But I found that the S20 just kind of made the video look a little bit more warm in my opinion, and almost too warm. Like I like warm videos and stuff, but the iPhone 11 just looked a little bit better, and it just looked more sharper in the video as well, which I wasn't expecting. And to kind of sum up the video and to answer the question, bro, between both these cameras, at first I thought it was going to be a clear winner. I thought the S20 was definitely going to win, but I think the iPhone 11 might take the overall better photos and better videos consistently every single time, in my opinion. Now there were times where this S20 was better too, and I think the S20 still has a lot going for it. Now I think it's probably like 50% better camera, and really the main things that it has going for it are the hardware things that the iPhone 11 doesn't have. But once it gets those things, really it's going to be pretty much even, or maybe even the iPhone 11 would be better. You're only missing out 8K and telephoto lens. Other than that, the camera quality on the S20 is very good, but the iPhone 11 is really, really good as well. And in between both of these, I really don't think there's a clear winner, to be honest. So that really pretty much covers it up in the camera test. This was a long one, and it was one that I honestly was not expecting to, have this type of conclusion. I thought the S20 was going to be better, but I guess not. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.